Hi folks, my name is Mr. Kuchak and I am your art teacher. Before we begin, let me go over our class rules. We have 3 rules at Elk Lake. Be ready, be responsible, be respectful. We are ready in the art room when we come in, sit in our assigned seats, and get quiet so that we can learn about art. We are responsible in the art room when we follow directions and take care of our supplies, and we clean up any of our messes. We are respectful when we use kind words like please and thank you, and when we value other students' artwork. Supplies you will need for today's lesson. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Hi folks, today we are going to be doing a country road type picture. So what we need to do is set up our paper the way that we would with 1-point perspective. I'm going to give you some measurements so that we can do our paper. Now, my paper is of course a 12 by 18. If you only have copy paper, what I suggest you do is just tape 2 together so then you get the size. It looks a little bit nicer if it's a little bit larger. It's also a little bit easier to draw some of the things if it's a little bit larger paper. So if you need to tape a piece of paper together, just tape it on the back, and then that way you can draw right over the front. You don't have to put any tape on the front. The back will hold it. We're also going to need a ruler, and we are going to need a pencil with probably an eraser too. I'm going to use a Sharpie, and you might see me use different color Sharpies just so that you can see everything that I'm working on. If I try to draw with pencil, you just won't see it. Now I am going to try to draw this upside down so that you can get all the measurements the right way. So once we measure our paper, we're going to see it's 12 inches long. What we want to do is use something called visual thirds. Visual thirds is a way for artists to divide their paper up to make it a little bit more exciting. So a third of 12 is 4. So finding 4 and 14 on my ruler. So I'll just try to give you one measurement instead of a few. Sorry, I have something underneath there that was blocking my paper. So at 4 inches, I'm going to make a tiny little mark, and then I'm going to come to the other side of my paper. Once again, I'm measuring the same way. I don't want to measure from the bottom up and then the top down. Remember, measure twice, cut once. And then I'm going to find the number 4 on that side, and I'm going to make a little mark. Once I have that, I'm going to put my ruler on both marks, and I'm going to draw through. Now, if you have a smaller ruler, what you may have to do is you may have to measure down 4 inches in the middle, and then when you line them all up, your ruler will hit the middle, and then you just slide your ruler down. Now remember, you want to spread your hand out so that your ruler is not making a teeter-totter. We don't need that simple machine. So this is going to be our eye line. Now most of this eye line is going to be gone anyway, but this way you can see where it is. With your ruler in the same spot, find the middle of the paper. So this is 18, so 9 inches. I'm going to make a pretty big circle because that is where my vanishing point is going to be. Now my vanishing point will eventually be hidden, so it's okay if that's a little bit bigger to help you figure out where it's going to be. Then what we're going to do is we're going to divide our paper up. So we're going to come down to the bottom. So slide your paper all the way to the bottom. This is the sky, this is the ground down here. And what we want to do is divide it up with 4 different areas. So the first thing we want to do is make a mark at, let's make a mark at 5. We're going to go 5 and then 13. So 5 inches and then 5 inches in, that's 13. And that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So from 9 to 10. So put your pencil at 9 and go to 10. And I'm going to make a little mark there. So it almost looks like a little face where it's got an eye and a mouth line. And then what we're going to do is just the ones on the end. We're going to go to our vanishing point. Here's the trick though. You have to start at the end of the paper. If you don't, it's going to look like there's a framer on your picture. So this is going to come right in. This is going to come right in. So we kind of have the letter A. Now what we have is we have road and not road. So we have fields or woods, and we have our road there. This is going to be the center line of our road. I'm not going to be able to erase it, but I'm still going to draw it in Sharpie so that you can see it. You're going to have to do some erasing here on the sides so that we can make the dashed line that goes on our road. So the first thing that we do is we put our ruler so that it's going to our vanishing point. We touch the side of our line, we bring it right in, and then we slide it on over, and we bring it right in. So then we have those kind of going back, and that one looks like it just missed over there. Let me get that in there. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. Now, it looks like a long letter A. So that part right there. What we want to do is just make an equal sign there. We have one line. We just need a second one. We come down a little bit. Equal. Equal. We come down a little bit. Equal. Equal. Come down a little bit more. Equal. Equal. Once again, I'm just coming down. Now you don't want 30 of these, maybe like 5 or 6 sets of lines. That way it'll look like there's a dashed line. If you erase here, you'll be able to break them free and it'll look a little bit more realistic. So once that's erased, then we're going to start up here in our sky for our tree. So let me kind of get set up for that and I'll show you the next part. The type of tree that we want to do is what I call a lollipop tree. It's basically a cloud with a trunk. What we want, especially for our first tree, is we want our first tree to be very large. So large that it's kind of cut off of the paper so that we only see a little bit of it. The easiest way that I found to do this is to take your ruler and we want to measure 4 inches in. So I put the number 4 on the edge, I come over and I just make a little mark. Now with that mark, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the number 3. So I'm going to start at that mark, I'm going to make a big 3. Then from there over to that line, make a big 3. That way I have my tree. Or I have the top of my tree. I still need the trunk. Now, this tree, once again, we want it to be really big. So this part over here, we're going to take off. So we're just going to come down and J. That way, this tree is so big that it's going off of there, and then the rest of the branches and stuff are already off our paper. So erase-wise, you can actually erase that. Now with our tree, there are 3 things that help us figure out where our tree needs to go. That's our first one. That's our second one. This is our third one. So those 3 spots, 1, 2, 3, need to go to our vanishing point. So we're going to take our ruler, we're going to put our pencil on the bottom of the tree, and we're going to come all the way into our vanishing point. Remember, draw that light because most of it's going to be erased. Then the bottom of the tree, then the top of the tree. You can see that gives you a few things. It gives you kind of a guide to put everything in there. Now these next couple trees, they are going to need a trunk in there too, like both sides of the trunk. So let's get started up here. First thing we want to do is we just want to come over a little bit and we just want to do our number 3. Number 3 and touch the tree. Number 3, touch the tree. So 3, 3, 3. If we look here, the trunk comes from this side. So I'm just going to come down and touch the line. And then this one I can't come in and touch because it's going to look like a candy cane. So I'm just going to come here and have it curl over. Maybe I'll add a little bit of grass near the bottom just to make it so that it's not floating. So that's tree number 2. Now we need tree number 3. So the first thing we're going to do is number 3, number 3, number 3. So 3, 3, 3 for our tree. Come down, come down. Add a little bit of grass so it's not floating. And that way you have your 3 trees all done. The next thing we want to do is we want to be able to add in our mountains. Now the nice thing about this is our mountains are going to start big, but we're going to avoid that vanishing point. Even if you shrunk your trees a little bit and you have lots of room, no matter what, we want to be way over here on this side of the vanishing point. Otherwise, this drawing's not going to work as good. So we're going to do our first mountain and down. Then, instead of doing it at the bottom, we don't want mountains like this. So even if you're around pointed mountains or you're around like flat-topped mountains, we want to make sure that we come up about halfway when we do these. Or if you're doing them like this, it just doesn't look as realistic because you don't have any overlapping. They look like they're all the same distance away from you. So to solve that problem, we walk halfway back up this mountain. We come up, we come down, and then I'm going to do one more. And then I'm going to have this last one go right off my paper. That way I have my mountains done next. Okay, so when you're drawing something, let's say this is on the ground and we have our lines coming in just like we do down there. This is where your sun is. So your sun is up in the sky. When you're drawing things, you want it to grow up towards the sun. So what I sometimes do is I'll just do this curvy little line so it's growing up towards the sun. What we don't want to do is we don't want to do flattened ones. It looks like someone hit your cornfield and stuff's all over the place now. So if you go off on the sides, sometimes it'll even look like dead bug legs. So it looks like a giant spider getting out of the ground, which is fun to draw, but when you're trying to do something realistic, things that are laying sideways don't work. So if you grow them up towards the sun, you know, if it was cattails, or if it was things like corn stalks, where you just kind of have them kind of coming up, or you have like carrots kind of growing in the ground. Just have them grow up towards your sun. That way it's nice and straight. A trick with that too is if you put your ruler at the bottom of the paper, you can kind of see where it needs to go. You can almost use your sun as a vanishing point and say, okay, you know, that's going to come up there, and that's the way that it needs to grow. A few different tricks that you can use for that, but you just want to watch these dead bug legs so that it doesn't look like everything's been plowed in. If you wanted to do like a shoulder on the road, you could always come in and, you know, just draw another little line kind of coming in, another little line kind of coming in this way, which would be really close to the tree. So let's just slide that right there. And that way you can have that, and then that way that could be gravel, or it could be something else that you want to put in there with there too. Clouds, if you want to break up the sky a little bit, you know, you can just do some clouds. It's a whole lot less sky to color in. If you're going to do birds, you know, we talked about size. If you do small, medium, large, you can make them look like some are close, some are far away. You know, there's lots of details that you can add in there. If this tree, you know, you just look at it and you say, oh, it needs a trunk. Well, you can kind of come in and still add another trunk inside there, or if you want to put branches or other stuff in there. If this one's close to you, it's going to have the most detail. That's where I would spend most of my time. And the reason why we did these kind of in threes, light, medium, or I'm sorry, dark, medium, light. As things go away from you, they're going to have a little bit less color. Same thing here. The darkest colors are going to go here, light, medium, or I'm sorry, medium, light, lighter. Same thing here. Darkest colors, medium, light, lighter. And that way you'll have that kind of perspective thing going on with contrast also. So converging lines all to 1 point perspective, country road. Can't wait to see how you do. Great job, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye. Now that we have our mountains and stuff done, now over here we want to put a field, maybe a plowed field. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ruler so it's on the bottom of my eye level line. And I'm going to put my ruler so it's touching the edge of my paper. I'm going to find the number 7. I'm going to put my pencil at 7, and I'm going to draw all the way over to the edge of the paper so that we have a 7-inch line with a little bit of space. Now the neat thing about a vanishing point is most of the time we come to our vanishing point, but we can also go away from our vanishing point. So if we put our ruler on our vanishing point and we touch the edge of that little line there, we can go right off our paper. So now we have another section kind of coming in, and this section is going to be our field. So we're going to put some plow marks in there, some furrows in there. I'm going to draw one, and then I'm going to slide that down a little bit. I'm going to draw another one. Notice I'm not measuring anything, I'm just adding some lines in there, but they're all going away from the vanishing point. And you can see, the closer you get to your eye level line, the flatter that line gets, because eventually it's going to be straight like the eye level line. But as we come down here, like a clock, it ticks, 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 ticks all the way around. Now, unfortunately, it looks like a swimming pool right now. So we want to break this up a little bit. We want to add what we would call an organic line in there. So we just wiggle draw over it. And this way, it will look like it is not the cleanest field I've ever seen in my life. We will just break it up a little bit so that our country road looks a little bit more country. So we're going to come through, we're going to break that up, break that up, break that up, and that way we have that inside there. The next thing we want to do is we want to break up this line here. This line, it's such a straight line where this kind of stuff made by people is nice and straight. This in nature wouldn't be there. So we just can do our cloud shape once again, and we can add some bushes. So we add some bushes just in there to break up that line. And then we're going to need to do some erasing. So erase that straight line that's inside there. That will help break up your stuff that's in there. So this is your country road. If you wanted to draw some things in there, things like flowers or carrots or corn or pumpkins or things growing in there, give me 1 second and I will show you some examples.